Alright, so basically what I did for my final project, it started off as I wanted to make a procedurally generated cliff climbing game where the cliff was generated as you were climbing around. So I guess I'll start off with like my first couple of iterations. I originally used midpoint displacement on like the vertices of the cliff, so like you can see the profile here. You start with the two endpoints of the cliff, find the midpoint, and displace it by a random value within a certain limit. I have a roughness variable right here that just judges how much to displace it by, and then you recursively call that on the newly generated lines. And each time the roughness value goes down. And then you can see it's kind of crazy right here because I do later processing that I turned off just to show you like the different, like what it would look like without the processing. So the other part of this is that as you move to other cliffs, as you move to other cliffs, it will generate new cliffs next to it. So like if I walk over to this seam, it'll generate that. And I was in the process of learning how to like make this multi-threading, but I just ran into a lot of issues and didn't have enough time to finish it. But I can demo another scene that has the multi-threading later. So as you can see, it's generating things. The seams aren't that great, but oh well. So if I do put on the post-processing of each of these cliffs, we'll see a much better looking cliff face that kind of undulates and has a lot of different vertices on it. So the first phase of the post-processing is averaging out all of those like random values, and the second phase is a simulated erosion where I simulate a bunch of different raindrops hitting it, picking up material and running down. So each raindrop has a set amount of material it can pick up, and it transfers that material down to the vertices beneath it. So that way we don't have as many overhangs. There are still some overhangs, like the super exaggerated ones, just because to erode that a lot, you'd have to have a lot of raindrops hitting it, and the probability is kind of low. So we get some pretty nice looking cliffs now. And then the other half of the project that I did was kind of a landmass generator. So if we go ahead and pull this up, you can see, let me turn it off the wireframe. So this is just like the regular view. So we have all these different land masses. This is done with Perlin noise. And then the different height maps are mapped to different colors and extruded accordingly. And one thing that I'm pretty happy with is the generation of subsequent chunks is actually pretty fast, because I got multi-threading to work with this, as well as it's easier to see in the shaded wireframe. The level of detail of the further chunks is a lot lower. So you can see if we're on the edge right over here. As the viewer moves closer, the level of detail of the mesh increases accordingly. So ideally, this viewer object that I'm dragging around would be a player walking around this map, and as he progresses through the chunks, they will increase in the level of detail accordingly.